All right, Congress is getting ready for the annual Congressional Baseball Game for charity, set to happen tomorrow night.
And today is the final practice, and we're joined by a very special guest from the Republican team this morning, House Majority Leader, Louisiana Congressman, and author of Back in the Game, One Gunman, Countless Heroes, and The Fight for My Life, Steve Scalise. Sir, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning to you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, Congressman, good to have you on this morning. Question for you about the Trump indictment. I'm wondering where Republicans are in Congress with how much they're going to back the former president this time around. Do you have a feel for that?
Well, I think what you've seen is just a frustration that, is justice really being administered fairly? When you see all the facts we've gotten out with the Biden family, shell corporations, millions of dollars being moved around to different Biden family members, some from foreign countries, radio silence, he had documents kept in his garage, and then you don't see the same level of treatment. You go back to the Hillary Clinton server, and it seems like the only person that these agencies want to go after is Donald Trump, even going to New York, where you had prosecutors running for office saying their main objective was to just go find something and get something on Donald Trump. That's not how justice is supposed to be carried out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way as you do, sir. I want to move on now to the House. There's been some fighting within your party. Last week, a minor mutiny on the House floor, but a truce was apparently reached last night. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And can Kevin McCarthy keep Republicans united?
Yeah, we met to work through and make sure we can get our agenda moving again. This week, we've got some really important bills. Tonight, we're going to be bringing up a bill to reverse the ATF's action against pistol braces. This is something that would make felons out of millions of Americans, including a lot of disabled veterans who use those braces to exercise their Second Amendment rights. We have bills to push back on the administration's attempt to ban gas stoves, for goodness sake. I mean, if they're not trying to control every aspect of your life, they want to get rid of the combustion engine and tell you you can only drive an electric vehicle where the battery's made in China, by the way. They're also trying to say you can't buy a gas stove. We're pushing back on that. The REINS Act, which checks all of these unelected bureaucrats who are coming up with some of the nuttiest ideas next to California, and they're trying to impose it upon you and increase costs for hardworking families. It says that an unelected bureaucrat can't just make up their own rules. They have to come back to Congress first before that takes effect. All that's coming up this week, and we're going to get it back on track.
Congressman, I want to talk about the baseball game tomorrow, but quickly, just on your colleague, Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles, introduced articles of impeachment against the president and vice president, accusing Joe Biden of weaponizing the presidency in both his tenure as president and as vice president. First, do you support the move, and do you think that there are more Republicans that will get behind impeaching President Joe Biden?
What I've told the chairman, because as the majority leader, I'm in charge of the committees to make sure they're moving our agenda forward. And you've seen a number of articles of impeachment. Mayorkas is probably the clearest example, I think. Early off in our majority, a number of members file articles of impeachment against Mayorkas because of his mishandling of the border. And what I said is, we're going to follow the process and get the facts out. The committees are there for a reason. These committees are out there doing the work to get the facts, and let the facts lead wherever they may. We haven't put any limitations on anybody, but you've got to go build your case first in committee. That's how the legislative process works. And whatever comes out of committee, obviously, we're going to look at bringing that to the floor. But the committees are hard at work on a number of these fronts, holding this administration accountable. You have not seen any accountability for the first 2 years because Nancy Pelosi didn't have any kind of hearings on the Biden administration's failures. It's been very aggressive. There's unfortunately a lot of bad stuff to go and investigate, and we're doing just that right now.
Yeah, and we will be following that. I do want to talk about where you are right now. You're at your final practice for tomorrow's Congressional Baseball Game. But 6 years ago tomorrow, a domestic terrorist opened fire on your team, wounding 5 and nearly killing you. Talk to us about how this changed you and how you were able to return to Congress.
Yeah, it was a day you don't want to focus on it a lot, but look, there were acts of God that happened on that field. I mean, true miracles that you can't explain away. God was there. If you would have said this shooter shows up and his intent was to kill every Republican on the ball field, he had the element of surprise and all the tools necessary, and yet at the end of the day, everybody was alive except the shooter. I don't think there'd be many people that would have taken that bet, but you know, thank goodness again, God was on the field performing miracles, but real life heroes were there too. You know, David Bailey and Crystal Griner with Capitol Police, who risked their lives. Both were hit during the shootout and kept going at it and saved all of us, not just me, but everybody on that field. Brad Wenstrup, who's a hero of mine, he's a congressman from Ohio, but he was a combat surgeon. And he had seen this kind of injury before, and luckily because he did, he was able to keep me kind of held together with duct tape enough to make it to the hospital. My trauma surgeon said I wouldn't have even made it to the hospital if not for Brad being there. So, you know, I'm lucky to be alive. God performed miracles that day.
Wow. Congressman, it's so nice to have you on this morning. I know that the Republicans are 2-0 the last 2 years after like a 10-year losing streak against the Democrats. So another big one tomorrow. I know you're not in the prediction game, but what happens tomorrow night?
Look, we won 10-0 last year. Not that anybody's keeping score. We play to win, but the game raised last year over $1.5 million for local charities, Boys and Girls Clubs, other events that help youth here, which is important. We had over 20,000 people in the stands, so if you can believe that or not, you know, in the Major League ballpark, the Nationals let us use that facility. It's a beautiful facility. This year, I think we could have more people. We have a great team. We're ready to go play. We're playing to win, and you should watch the game and come on out. There's still some tickets available.
We'll be watching, Congressman. We appreciate you being with us. Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. Good luck tomorrow night.